And we are live. Thanks everybody for coming back on Dozangs. Today again we got Prohfit and Goose, and this is Premier Political View.
Right.
All right, Chris, Prohfit, let us open up the conversation like we would the borders.
All right. My name's Prohfit. And I guess our topic today is, would open borders destroy America? And I kind of want to be like clear as to where I stand on, the concept of open borders. I don't think it's realistic right now. So I think if we were to like open the borders right now, it would cause a lot of chaos. We would be like the only country in the world to be truly opening the borders. People would seize that opportunity. Everybody would rush to America. I think if you were to open borders, we would have to have much stronger infrastructure here in this country. I think we'd also have to have stronger infrastructure in a lot of third world countries, so that there's not a huge need for immigration to pass. I think that other countries would have to do it either before or at the same time as us. So it's not just one country getting flooded. I think it is possible in the future to be able to have some sort of world where we don't necessarily need borders. And I think if we could get to that place, it would be a better world. But I don't think we're ready yet. So opening borders immediately would have a lot of negative impacts on America. But generally, I do think our current border system, even under Obama, was strong enough. And I think that a lot of the anti-immigrant or anti-illegal immigrant rhetoric is really dangerous. And I think that a lot of the fear about illegal immigration is misplaced.
Am I up?
You up, Goose? Take it away, brother.
All right. Well, I think it's just the most terrible thing in the world. We can't have a welfare state, which we have in the United States, and open borders. It's just impossible. A country can't handle that. There's a legal way to do it. We bring across approximately 1.3 million a year, give or take some years, but the last 25 years. So if you think about that, that's 25 million plus people that we brought into this country legally. There's a old wives' tale that everybody says there's 11 million illegal immigrants. That number is more like 25 million. So there's a lot of illegal immigrants here, and most of them are getting some sort of subsidy, whether it's free housing, free health care, free schooling. Last I checked, I read up on something the other day that a lot of these illegals are getting like $3,200 a month. That's our taxpayer money. I just don't see how we can afford this. They say it costs about $220 million to afford this open borders, between all the schooling, housing, healthcare, and living expenses for these illegals. And on the flip side of that, they say that most of the money that these illegals are making, which most of that is under the table, they're sending it back to their hometowns, to the families, at about 250 billion. So we're about a $500 billion a year. Not to mention our schools getting overcrowded with kids that don't even know how to speak English. They say that or no, what is it? 87% of the illegals crossing our borders right now are males, 20 to 26, and 82% of them already have a criminal record. So it's not the best of the best that are leaving. It's people that are a little bit lower on the totem pole as far as society would go, I guess. So all they're going to do is take the lower class jobs away from legal Hispanics and blacks and whites. So they're taking our jobs, they're lowering work wages, flooding our schools, and probably the most important thing, like Chris said, was at this time in a pandemic right now. I mean, they're coming through some of the hot spots of Mexico that is some of the hottest spots for coronavirus in the world. And you see the caravans, and they're not wearing masks, they're not socially distancing. In fact, they're getting crushed into these trains and trucks to get up to the border. So yeah, we're just asking for another humongous pandemic. Or another huge lockdown. So I've got other things to share, but we'll just end it there with that introduction there. It's probably the worst thing on the planet that we could be doing right now.
So I guess I'll respond to some of that. I think that some of the statistics or some of the statements that you made, I haven't seen anything to verify. So when you look at Pew Research, it's about illegal immigrants. As of now, there's about 10.5 unauthorized immigrants in the U.S. in 2017. That number has been decreasing since 2006, or since 2007, rather. And the number of Mexican immigrants has decreased while other nations have ticked up. So we've actually done a lot of work in working with Mexico in order to make their system better, so that there's less immigration coming from Mexico. And now there's other countries further to the south that are in worse conditions. So I think that that kind of is a symbol of one way we could further reduce immigration, is by encouraging trade agreements or different things with those countries to improve their economy, so that there's less need of immigration from those places. And essentially, from everything that I've seen, when it comes to illegal immigrants, or undocumented immigrants, or however you want to phrase it,
it's illegal. If they're undocumented, they're illegal.
Well, either way. So
just straight facts. If you're undocumented, you're here illegally.
Well, okay, but everybody who came here before, like, what, 1960 was undocumented? So
I believe
every single person. No,
I believe most people had to go through the rigmarole. They had to speak English. They had to spend the money. They had to take the tests on our laws.
No, not most, not before. Like, I believe it was like 1960. When you talk about people that came in Ellis Island, most didn't speak English. Most spoke like Polish or
before
Italian.
1960. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about pre-1960.
Right. Well, and I mean,
the
currently, yeah,
of what's going on now.
So I mean, I'm just talking, like, historically, America has been very open to immigrants, and everyone who came here before around then was undocumented. I mean, essentially, like, they came in, walked up, the guy said, "Oh, what's your name?" You gave them a name, they signed it, and walked in.
And then people went and got jobs and went and worked and built
not all of them
for themselves.
Yeah, and most illegal immigrants do the same. Most illegal immigrants now do the same.
Coming here broke and needing some assistance and getting assistance. We're giving them like
$3,200. Read the poem that's on the Statue of Liberty, my friend. We're not asking for rich people. We're asking for the poor. We're asking for the meek. We're asking for those who are downtrodden. We're
not asking for the freeloaders.
What is the difference between somebody who's poor, meek, sick, and downtrodden and a freeloader. Like,
Well, freeloaders gets on welfare and stays on welfare.
okay, gets on welfare and stays on welfare. So most illegal immigrants don't qualify for any sort of welfare assistance.
I disagree with that.
I mean, I'm sure, but like as far as
they have to have help. How else are they going to do it?
Do they have? I mean,
legally, you can't hire an illegal immigrant, so they either got to work under the table, which is illegal, because legally you can't hire an illegal immigrant. Now,
there's a lot of loopholes to where people are able to hire illegal immigrants and they still pay income tax or payroll tax on those people. So in fact, you have evidence that there's more money coming from the payroll tax of illegal immigrants working than goes out to those illegal immigrants. In fact, that's a common narrative that illegal immigrants contribute more money to the system than they take out of it. And you can disagree with that if you want, and that's fine, but I'd like to see some evidence. I'd like to see articles. I'd like to see peer-reviewed research. I'd like to see investigative reporting. I'd like to see something to prove that statement as opposed to not, because I have, there is plenty of research that backs up my position.
True, it's difficult because getting back to your point about the Pew research in 2006 and 2005, I don't know if it was Pew or who it was, but they said that there was 11 million illegal immigrants in our country in 2005. We've been having 5 to 10,000 a day come up on our borders. I mean, now there's 3,500 a day coming across our borders. And I'm not saying it's all Hispanic, like you said. It's probably more middle American, the Venezuelans, the Guatemalans, El Salvadorians. But in 2005 there was 11 million. Are you gonna tell me today?
Yeah, and then in about 2006,
got a humongous amount.
Then in about 2006, 2007, there was 12.2, and then it went down to 11.4 in 2010, and now it's 10.5 in 2017.
It's never going down. It's never going down. That's just so the problem is with our information today, they're telling us stuff that isn't true. I mean, it's
how do you prove that?
It's hard to prove that. It's very hard because a lot of the good truthful stuff gets deleted off the internet, off of YouTube, Facebook. I'm going to tell you right now. Here's what's going on. The Democrat Party realized that if they can flood districts across the country with more people, that they can add representatives into Congress, giving them more Democrats.
I mean, is there any evidence to support that at all?
Nah, not on paper, but I'm just telling you, man. I
can say anything.
That's what's going on. Well,
then I can say anything. I mean, I could say that the Republicans are funneling this information to you in order to get you to hate Mexicans, so that you don't focus on the fact that they're fucking you over in every other avenue. I mean, like, and I can say that, and I have just as much evidence to support that as you have to support your claim, and so therefore, both of our arguments are trash. And I mean, where do we go from there? Like, you have to prove what you're saying.
I hear you, and I will see some videos once I get out of Facebook jail, and I'm allowed to do that. I'm starting to save a lot more, but a lot of my intelligence comes from stuff that I didn't save over the last 4 years. Stuff I just know, the stuff that I've watched and read. But I'm telling you, that is the fact. That, and they realize the black population is waking up to their welfare state, and that how the Democrats have just kept the black population down and out, kept them just on welfare, and told them it's a racist country and you can't do nothing because of white people. Well, the black people are starting to wake up. So the Democrats need a new black, and the new black is illegal immigrants. Come on in. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. We're going to give you this. You make sure, and it's a proven fact that the first-time voters of first-time any immigrants, legal and illegal, vote towards Democrat. So it's all about getting the votes for the Democrat Party. It's pretty sick. They're willing to bring up a bunch of third world, disease-infested, 8th grade. They say 87% of these boys that are coming up have no more than 8th grade education. So we're not getting like the finest people. We might get some.
Why should we?
Again, huh?
Why should we get the finest people? I mean, that's not American. That's anti-American.
Well, we want to bring somebody that's in there that's not going to stay on welfare. We want someone that's going to do something.
We build them up.
That's called capitalism. It's a great thing if it's used properly.
Let's build them up. Like we have our entire existence of our country.
We got to build up our own citizens first, man.
Okay, then let's build up our own citizens. Where's the arguments?
In LA.
Where's the arguments to build up our own citizens?
Well, our system's screwed. I mean, our government's gotten too big. Our government's gotten too greedy. I mean, out of that 1.9 trillion,
I mean,
9%,
like
9% of that 1.9 trillion is going here to America.
How about a universal jobs guarantee so that everybody who is a citizen has a job, doing many of the things that the country needs to have done? They get employed. They're able to work. Anyone who's able to work has a job. I mean, how about that? No, you don't want to do that. Okay, how about universal?
That sounds great. But here's
how about universal mental health care? No, you don't want to do that. Okay, how about health care? No, you don't want to do that.
No, we need some help. But here's the problem. It's a thing called accountability, and we've lost that word. No one's accountable. You know, if you're some low life to get addicted to drugs and start thieving and stealing, and now you're mentally what do you call that? Mentally ill or mentally challenged or whatever it is you call that. Well, a lot of people, it's their problem. You know, they got to take responsibility. Everybody wants free stuff, free this. I mean, look at college, for example. I mean, in my opinion, colleges charge way too much, and we give them hundreds of millions of dollars for bailouts for what I don't know. The colleges are wickedly evil, but how many of them students are actually going there and really trying to? You know, I guess about half. The other half pissed the shit away, and that's with them paying for college. Imagine if you're going to get college.
So here's the thing.
Just going to not.
Here's the thing about college, right? And I mean, this is totally off topic, but if we want to talk about college, the reason that half of the people piss their college away is because they're paying for it. Their parents have money. They're paying for it for their kid who didn't really earn it. And if you took money away and the only incentive to accept, or the only acceptance requirements for college were your grade point averages, then you'd only have people who did well in high school going into college. And then those people are probably going to be more likely to do well in college. But right now you have rich kids that get in because their daddy, shook the right hands. Their mom, like that stupid fucking actress, paid, her kid's way in, got fake, reports and shit, which happens all the time. And, then you have a bunch of people that just piss away their fucking opportunities, and they take it from somebody who doesn't have money, but who works damn hard in high school, has a 4.6 GPA or whatever the fuck. And now they can't get into college because a bunch of, spoiled brats got in there and they're pissing away their college opportunity. So, I mean, I think that free college.
That's happened at Harvard, Yale,
we
colleges.
We need to get back on.
Right, of course.
Topic. We need to get back on topic.
But I mean, the fact is like, so we talk about immigration and we talk about immigration, and then the argument is, oh, well, we need to take care of our own people. And then I say, okay, let's take care of our own people. Let's address homelessness. Let's build public housing. And then the argument is always no, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. And so it's like, okay, so you don't want to help. You don't want to have immigrants come in. Okay, because we need to help our people. Then you don't want to do anything to help our people. And it's like, well, what the fuck? I mean, it's frustrating to me because it's like,
I hear you. It's very frustrating. I mean, I'll tell you, the grand scheme of the whole damn plan of these global elites and very rich, the Soros types, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Paysewers, them, the Bill Gates, the whole plan is to have us all depleted, not prospering down and out. So we have to rely on the government for assistance. That's the whole name of the game. And as much as they can destroy their cities, which they're doing a damn fine job of right now, and killing small businesses all across the United States of America. Here's a fun little stat. There is more government officials right now that are going in, shutting down businesses across the United States. And we have ICE agents protecting our borders from a bunch of, we don't know who's going across our borders right now. Why Joe Biden stopped?
ICE agents don't protect our borders. That's not what ICE agents do.
ICE agents protect us from bad people, from bad
ICE agents hunt
immigrants.
illegal immigrants
Yeah,
in the United States. They don't protect our border.
Just pretty much, and exactly, I agree with you. I agree with you. However, now we're making it to where an illegal can be up in, say, some podunk someplace in Indiana, and if he rapes somebody or robs a house, he gets in trouble, but he gets let right back out in the community, an illegal immigrant, to do it all over again. That's the stupidest freaking thing I've ever heard in my life, and that's what's going on right now. Joe
I don't
Biden
think that's the case,
the deportation.
though.
Yes, it is. Joe Biden just eliminated, so you can't deport people. It's morally not right. You can't deport people. He's not allowing.
Well, yeah, but that's not letting people out for murder.
Yeah, once they get the bail reform bullshit, they're not jailing people anymore. Yeah, okay, maybe aggressive murder, different story. Okay, but we're talking like DUIs or minor theft, muggings, home invasion. They're getting out relatively quick, and they're not deporting them. They're letting them right back out.
So the issue is, so I don't know. I don't think that that's the case. I'd have to look up as far as people who commit crimes who are illegal or who are undocumented or who are illegal not getting deported.
No longer do they get deported. Under Joe Biden, no longer are they getting deported. I guarantee you.
I did see the same report.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I'll have to take a look.
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, I think there could be a lot. I think there could be a lot of issues with that. I think it depends on, what crimes. Because I mean, personally, I don't believe in drug crime. Like, I think if you do drugs and you want to fuck up your life, that's your choice. I don't think that the government should be telling us what to do with our bodies. So, as far as drug crimes, I don't really care about that. And so I can see that argument being made. But as far as like breaking and entering or mugging or violent crime like that, if that's the case, then
they're not getting deported. They're getting let out in this very same communities to do it all over again.
I mean, if that's actually the case, and we have examples of people getting mugged, then we need to address that. Pauses deportations.
There's no deportation. No one's getting deported right now. Nobody. We're letting them.
Yeah.
It's back to catch and release again. $3,500.
Well, pausing deportations doesn't mean catch and release. Pausing deportations means essentially putting people in cages, which I'm not for either. But
well, all we're doing with these open borders too is we're incentivizing human trafficking, sexual trafficking, drug trafficking, because they say like 80% of these kids that are accompanied by a minor is not their parents. Their parents actually pay a coyote to get their children into America. So that's not our problem. What are we supposed to do when the coyote leaves the kid at the border? Well, what are we supposed to do? Just let the kid, there you go, catch your best Montana, and you got to hold them, because what else do you do? The whole cages thing, Obama built the cages thing. I think Trump revamped a little bit. I don't know. There's no easy answer.
The problem
biggest answer is close the freaking borders, come here legally, come through the door legally, go through the fucking process. But all you're doing is When someone jumps our border, jumps our fence, and gets in here, they're doing it illegal. That's illegal to do. They're breaking a rule right now. They're breaking a law right there. Do you think they're going to honestly
Well,
respect any more of our laws in the United States?
do you call somebody in the United States who breaks like a misdemeanor, which is essentially what crossing without documentation is? Do you call somebody in the United States who commits a misdemeanor? Do you call them illegal?
I calls them someone who broke the law.
Right, but do you call them illegal? Are they illegal humans? Are they illegal Americans because
if
they
they're
broke
the law? They're not illegal. No, they're U.S. citizen. They've got a
right,
citizenship.
but I mean, so on one hand, you're saying they're illegal because they broke the law, but then in other examples, they're not illegal because they did break the law, but they happen to be born on the right side of the border.
If you jumped across our fence, that's illegal. That makes you illegal.
Okay, and
I'm a U.S. citizen. I was born in the United States. I'm a U.S. citizen. If I go out and create a misdemeanor,
then you're illegal. You're breaking the law.
No, I broke
That's
the
illegal.
law. I broke the law.
And then you're illegal.
I'm still a U.S. citizen.
Right.
An illegal alien is someone that's not a U.S. citizen who jumped.
Okay, so what about somebody who
alien?
What about somebody who's a legal resident, not a U.S. citizen, but then breaks the law? Are they illegal?
They're legal residents that broke the law. Pretty simple.
So, I mean, I don't see the point of identifying people as illegal. That's why I use the term undocumented. Because it's because
if you crossed our borders without going through all the proper things you got to do, then you're here illegally. It's simple.
Right, you're here. Okay, you can be here illegally, but that doesn't make you an illegal. That doesn't make you an illegal.
Why? You're here illegally.
I mean, I just don't see the point of. I don't. I mean, undocumented. That's one way.
Illegal. You're undocumented. You're illegal. If you're undocumented, that means you're not documented. That means you're illegal.
Right. I'm
pussyfooting around. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's a trigger world. That's this soft ass world we're living in, where everything's fucking triggering people."
I just want to be accurate with language. It's not about a question of being soft.
They're here illegally. End of story. They're here.
I don't think it's because they still have rights, right? So when you call somebody illegal, it implies that they don't have rights. It implies that they are less than human. And I don't think that that's appropriate just because somebody broke a misdemeanor. I don't think it's appropriate to identify somebody as less than human or not accessible to human rights and calling them illegal. It has a lot of negative implications, and when you use that language, it conveys some things that are untrue.
Now we're going down the ignorance of Mr. Potato Head needs to be outlawed. Dr. Seuss's need to be outlawed.
No. I mean, that's a bad argument. I'm talking about accurate language. I'm not talking about cancel culture. I'm talking about us in our conversation using language.
They're here illegally. That makes them an illegal alien, illegal person, whatever you
want to call it. Right. And so what does that imply? What does that imply? What is implied by
illegally? That means they're not supposed to really be here.
Yeah. He said that. I mean, I feel like we're stuck on this.
Right.
One thing. So let's not become dogs chasing our tails. Let's pick something else to move on from. Agree to disagree whether they're illegal and undocumented.
Okay. So, I mean, on that issue, I mean, we can call them illegal for the conversation, but I just want to put that caveat in there. When it comes, so what is the biggest, what are your top 3 concerns? Because illegal immigrants are here in America, right? And more are coming, a lot not even through the border, most illegal immigrants come from overstayed visas. So, what are your, and so I'm assuming we're talking about borders. So we're not talking about fixing the visa system. So we're talking about what are your three big concerns that you think a strong would solve in regards to illegal
Okay.
immigrants?
Well, the first and foremost, the most important one right now is this is incentivizing human trafficking, sexual trafficking, and drug trafficking. The only people that are getting rich off this open border right now are their cartels, and I'm sure some politicians are getting paid off to agree with this open border. So that's huge.
Right.
That's huge. Children are getting raped every day on their way to this border, and then they come up here and get pawned off to some sickos that get raped. So it's incentivizing nothing but human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking. It's terrible. Number two, it's costing us tax dollar money, $220 billion a year to support all this. Okay, and along with that, all the money that they're making, most of it's under the table illegally. They're sending it back to their families at 250 billion. So we're out about a half trillion every year. Number three, they're overcrowding our schools with non-English speaking students. So we've got to adapt to that. A whole different culture. They've got a different culture in the third world than we do here. They're bringing over disease. I mean, they're stuffed in boxcars and trains and buses to get to the with no mask, and they're not getting tested. They're not getting, we tested and are worried about someone getting on our airplane way more than we're testing anybody coming across that damn border. And there's a reason for it. They want to annihilate this country, man. They want to make this country. Here's another thing that I should throw out. You have to watch. Have you ever watched this 10-part series? It's called The Fall Ball.
No.
It's a must watch. It's a 10-part series. Each part is like 40 minutes long. It's a must watch, man. And I mean, she throws out so much proof, but and I've known this for a long time. George Soros is the main proprietor, the main funding. He's making these caravans happen. He's telling all these people, his people. He pays people to tell people, come to America. They're open for business. They'll help you out. They're motivating it. I have nothing against these illegal immigrants. I have more against who's making it happen and who's letting it happen. I mean, if I was down there and I was starving and I heard, come to America, it's free everything, I'm coming to America. So I'm not against the actual people, these actual legal immigrants. I'm not. They're searching for something better. I'm more against this people like Soros, who's actually funding, putting tennis shoes on these people, giving them backpacks, giving them coats, giving them food, giving them transportation to get to the border. You see a lot of these pictures of moms and strollers strolling their baby 3,000 miles. You think that's really happening? No. George Soros is making this happen to create chaos in our country because he wants to eliminate Western civilization as we know it. It's been his goal for his whole life. And he's gotten all the DAs put in all these cities, these real hard lefties that aren't prosecuting bad people. They're letting people that are destroying our businesses and looting and burning. Nothing wrong with that. But boy, if you get 100,000 patriots that want to stand up, they're pissed off at the bullshit. And now we know for a fact that Nancy Pelosi, sorry, I'm jumping off. We now know for a fact that Nancy Pelosi had 6 times had a chance to get National Guard or more police, and she denied it. And we know for a fact that out of those 200 people, over half of them are either Antifa or Black Lives Matter or non-Trump supporters that got arrested, and most of them got all let go. And we don't hear about that in the news because obviously our news is right along with the same agenda. So I don't know. There's my little rant there. There's the 3 things that I gave you.
I think we went a little off track. So
well, I stopped with the third thing. The third thing being schools overcrowding and bringing over disease. That was the third thing.
Okay,
Second thing is how much money it costs us, and the first thing was all human trafficking and drug trafficking.
Okay, so I mean, all of those things I'm also concerned about. I am concerned about human trafficking in a big way. I am concerned about drug trafficking. I mean, again, I think the best way to eliminate drug trafficking would be to, start legalizing some of the drugs so that there's less money incentive to set up these, cabal systems or, cabal. Sorry, I was researching the fall of cabal.
Yeah, you need to check that out.
Yeah, we'll message each other about that because I'm not quite finding it. So, when it comes to drugs, I think if we, legalize it and create, like you suggest, like, a capitalist competition, I feel like people would be more comfortable going to like a legal store than they would be, some guy that doesn't speak English, right? On the street corner selling you drugs. So that would reduce the money aspect of the cartels and the cartels being able to stay established. And I think that would also address a lot of the other issues because if our police are no longer having to focus on drug crime, they're able to focus on more important things like sex trafficking and human trafficking. And I'd like to see more of our resources go to that rather than drug crime. As far as
ties hand in hand.
As far as well, I think if we take the money out of them being able to sell illegal substances and force it to go in a legal route, that you would cut down on it across the board, on illegal activity
so
across the board.
Have a bunch of meth heads and crackheads running around. I know what meth heads and crackheads do. They go.
Oh yeah, no, I do too.
Go get some more meth or crack.
Right. Well, okay. I mean, we can have and we can have that. That's a good.
Don't go down that road.
That's a good. That's a good debate. I mean, that's a good debate, and we could talk about.
Now they need more drugs.
We could talk.
Well, again, drugs is not the
right.
I mean, if you want to make the argument that illegals is bringing over drugs, that's one thing. But
right. I'm just trying to address that. I think that there's better ways to solve a lot of these problems than to blame illegals. I don't think our schools are overcrowded because of illegals. I think sure they add to it maybe, but I feel like our schools are overcrowded because they're largely both underfunded and they mismanage how they use their funding. In a lot of cases, you have, people in different departments of schools that end up like having golden parachutes and, just a lot of wasted money in the school system. So you get school overcrowding primarily due to lack or misuse of funds. So I feel like addressing that would solve that problem 10 times more than doing anything immigration wise. I feel like if we could focus our police on sex crime and prioritize sex crime over drug crime, I think that would solve, or that would seriously cut down on the sex trafficking. I feel like creating legal prostitution would also help. I feel so that there's actual regulated. Oh, is he frozen?
I think he's froze, but I think he can still hear us. And
no, Goose.
He'll come. He's got a link. He's got it. That's all right. So what was his 3 points? One was sex trafficking, one was drugs.
Well, sex trafficking and drug trafficking were two.
Okay.
And then his second point was waste of money, and third point was
what was the third point, Goose? Disease.
Yeah, disease.
Bringing over disease. I mean, they live in a completely different world than we do,
So
they're susceptible to tuberculosis and just all kinds of different diseases that they're gonna. It's just not.
So
good.
I mean,
it's just not good.
The problem with them bringing over disease is that we're getting sick, and I think a better way to address that would be to fix or address our health system so that more people are able to get treatment for diseases before those diseases get bad. Like, if I have
How
a
you want
cough,
to pay for that?
I mean, we can go that. I just feel like there's better ways to address it than that will actually reduce the amount of illness in America far more than by addressing that issue through immigration. And again, the problem is most of our illegal immigrants are not coming through the border. And so, I mean, depending on how you want to strengthen the border, I mean, Florida is one of the hottest points of, illegal immigrants that are crossing without visas. And they don't have a border, they have an ocean. So, like, and when it comes to like the wall, there's tunnels already built. I mean, when it comes to, so there's a lot. I don't think enforcing continuing to build the border wall, and doing certain other things in regards to building up the border, I don't think that's going to address any of these problems to the degree that you think that it will.
Well, they proved that last year border crossings were down 97% where the wall was constructed. So, case in point, if you have a fence around your house and it's locked, it's going to be a lot harder for somebody to get into your house, and you lock your door. Whether you don't have a fence and you open your door and let them come in, it's a lot easier. It's a deterrent. Yeah, they're still going to come, but not near as much as they are if there's nothing there. Then when they could just walk across the line rather than having to go 50 miles down the wall to find a hole, it's going to detour it. It's a deterrent.
So I mean, there like, as far as new wall, like everything that's been built pretty much except for like maybe 1 or 2 miles has been where there was fencing already. They just revamped the old fencing.
The torn down barbed wire fence that's laying in the sand. that fencing.
Well, I mean, right. So, okay, they repaired. They repaired. I mean, there were physical upright barriers as well, but they repaired old barrier. And I mean, okay, we can, debate whether or not that's reasonable and whatnot. I mean, it's proven that you can just saw through the bars on the wall that they built with a saw that you can get from Osh or Home Depot.
They actually need one of those high pressured arc welder torch I can't call, but they're actually a little bit more than just sawing through because they're full of concrete, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder than you think.
Well, and I mean, I've seen videos.
Again, it's a deterrent. I mean, they got cameras every 100 feet, so if they're going to pick that up. So by the time they get done sawing that done, we've got border agents coming.
Well, and I mean, there's already there's already tunnels that have been built. So I mean, I don't.
You're not going to stop all of it. But
I don't think you're going to stop a majority of it because, I mean, most of the people go through tunnels anyway. I mean,
how do you know that?
Because that's the data we have.
Okay, how about this? If there's tunnels under Washington, D.C., why did they just build a fence around Washington, D.C.? 3.5 square miles. Washington's got a fence with barbed wire.
Because
anybody getting into that fence?
Is anybody getting under the fence around Washington, D.C.?
No.
Well, the fence around Washington, D.C. also is lined with guards. So, I mean, are we going to hire
how about
that many guards?
How about, say, like Nancy Pelosi's gated community? Are we going to – is anybody getting there? Because it's a lot harder. I'm sure somebody could if they tried, but it's a deterrent.
Well, I mean, somebody literally like spray painted her garage.
That was a rental.
and left a pig's head.
House. That was a rental. That wasn't her actual house.
Well, I mean, either way,
well, it was
you know,
rental.
she's not untouchable. You know what I'm saying?
A gated community. That house was not in a gated community. Her house is in a gated community.
Okay, well, I mean, gated communities and guards at gated communities with cameras are a bit different than the border. But why? Because it's way easier to monitor like a small area than it is to monitor entire constant wasteland. I mean,
exactly. So it'd be harder for them to cross over into our country with a wall there rather than nothing, because it's a lot harder to monitor. You said it yourself.
It's harder to monitor the wall. It's harder to have that wall be effective because the wall around the gated community is not what's preventing people getting in. It's all the other stuff. It's all the other stuff in association with the wall. It's the wall plus the guards, plus the local police who can respond, plus the cameras, plus dogs or any other security measures that they may have, plus alarms.
Same with the wall.
So we're gonna have so we're investing in all of these other security measures to cover every inch of the wall, is what I'm saying. No.
Yeah. It costs $6
I
billion.
feel like
$6 billion to get that done. $6 billion over $220 billion that it's costing us to support all this illegal immigration.
Well, I mean, again, I still need to see the numbers that it's costing us that much to support illegal immigration. Because again, I'm under the opinion that illegal immigrants contribute more to the system than they take from the system.
No way.
Well, I mean, we can disagree on that, but until you have facts to prove me wrong, I'm not going to accept them.
I will find the facts.
Yes, sir. And when I see that, and if I can verify that, I'll accept it. I'm not somebody who denies reality. But I've looked into it pretty extensively, and I haven't seen anything to support that claim. I've seen people make that claim.
It's funny. We just sent $500 million to Syria to help build a wall around their country. Israel, once they built their wall, knocked their illegal immigrants down by 90%. The walls work.
Israel doesn't have an entire wall around their entire border.
Me, I think it was Libya.
Israel's walls, because they do have a wall. Israel's wall is around Gaza, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. That's trying to keep people in.
Walls work.
I mean, talk to China about how walls work.
Yeah, they work pretty well.
Talk. The Great Wall of China worked well.
It did. I didn't agree with it because, like you said, that was keeping people in, not out.
Well, no, the Great Wall of China was keeping the Mongolians out, and the Mongolians busted through and raped and pillaged. They focused on a couple key points, and they broke through the wall. Same thing with the French Maginot Line, which was essentially a wall of guns. The Germans went around and killed the French and took France.
Went around the wall.
Yeah.
So it was a little more difficult to get into the country because they had to go around the wall.
No, it wasn't more difficult. They just went through the forest. And the entire country was vulnerable because the entire country was vulnerable because they spent all their resources on the wall instead of on a more established network defense system that would be far more effective. Like, I don't know, Obama spending a whole bunch of money on advancing drones so that they could patrol way more than the border wall protects us from, and that so that they would have a much faster response time with any border patrol agents able to stop people who had crossed the border, who showed up in tunnels 20 miles away from the border, who showed up in all sorts of different scenarios. I mean, drone systems, increasing the border amount of border patrol agents, advancing our legal immigration system so that there's less of a backlog and making it so that there's less incentive to approach illegally, all of that cuts illegal immigration far, 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 far more and at far less cost than a wall.
I respectfully
I mean, we can
disagree,
disagree, but I mean, I'm not like sitting here saying that we shouldn't spend anything on our border defense. I just think a wall is nonsense. It's a waste.
I don't know. Do you lock your house up at night?
Not normally.
Really, you're in
I have
California,
dogs.
you don't lock your house up? Well,
Not
I would
normally.
say 95% of the people. Do you lock your car when you leave your car? Like when you go to the grocery store, do you lock your car up?
Not unless I leave my wallet in there.
For California, that's pretty crazy.
I'm not afraid of it.
That's good. I would say if you were closer to LA,
I'd rather say
they lock their car up when they leave their car. They lock their car.
I'd rather somebody, open the door and run through my shit than smash my window and open the door and run through my shit.
I'd rather nobody do either myself, but
well, I mean, yeah, but
that's why people have fences around a lot of their property.
But when they get to the point of breaking in, if they're gonna go through into my car and run through my shit, they're gonna run through my shit. So either they're gonna break the window or they're gonna open the door. I mean, I don't think that is gonna really stop them. And I mean, I have insurance, so like what, so I think there's other measures that we can take that address all the issues that you're talking about far more effectively. And I think by creating a legal system that is far more efficient, that lets people know if they've been denied within a matter of months instead of a matter of a multitude of years, you'll have less people trying to come illegally because the legal system will be more efficient. I think if we set up a better work visa system, you'll have less people encouraged to come illegally to work. You'll have more people encouraged to come legally because then they get minimum wage, which is better for them. I mean, there's a lot of other ways to go about this that'll cut down illegal immigration than, just militarizing our border.
One is making it an incentive to get here. These people down south right now are hearing that they're getting everything for free. America will help you. It's full of money. They have an incentive to come here. They do. They're being told down in Venezuela and down in El Salvador, come to America. Doors are open. Joe Biden.
What is the evidence of people being told that? Like, do you have a pamphlet?
Man, there's so many freaking lawyers right now that are down there that are trying to incentivize people coming up.
Do you have one that's like said that that's what they're doing?
I do not. I've only witnessed it.
You've been down there?
I've been down to the border a lot the last 4 years.
No. I mean like down in those countries where they're telling them this. You've been down there?
No, I've only seen it. I've seen it on news, on videos.
On what news? I mean, I've looked it up. I haven't found anything. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, they're being incentivized to come here. It's
I mean,
I thought it was
you can say that,
myself, but I can say that.
But like,
you can believe me or not believe me, but I'm 99% sure that that's what's going on. They're being incentivized to come here. Mix that with a absolute poor living standard because of socialism in all their countries. But
no, most of their countries are not socialist,
right.
And most of the countries that attempted socialism were destroyed by our system. Look up Pinochet. Look up who installed Pinochet, which was a capitalist dictator. Look up what happened with Ronald Reagan and Iran-Contra,
Well, that was that was
the Iran-Contra scandal.
yeah. Now we're getting into a whole different ballgame, but
Right.
the vice president was of Ronald Reagan's presidency was George Bush, and George Bush was a very evil man that started Skull and Bones and was the CIA, had something to do with Kennedy and the New World Order.
Right, but what I'm saying is like Ronald Reagan had a whole bunch of socialists in those countries killed and replaced with really shitty dictators that ruined those countries.
Yeah, and then central banking was enacted, I do believe so. And on our last conversation, you do realize there's only 3 countries left that do not have the central banking, right, in the world. North Korea.
Yeah. And so,
Iran,
you want us to ally. Yeah, great countries. Fantastic. They treat their people really well.
Oh no, yeah, no, they don't. They're terrible. And again, we'll get back off on the same thing where most people across the world are good people. It's the regimes of all the freaking countries. Right. And ours really isn't better right now. But the whole grand scheme of things is to get these countries, go to war with them, knock them down, rebuild them, and enact central banking. And there's 3 countries left to do that: North Korea, Iran, and Syria. And as soon as they get
I'm an anti-war leftist, so
yeah. Well, yeah. So, and what's the first?
So I mean, we agree on that for sure.
Starts bombing Syria, and we're talking about Iran, and they hated Trump for making friends with North Korea. So it's a grand plan. Once again, off the subject of open borders, it's that grand plan of what they want to do, man. They want to take over the world. They want to keep us down and out, nobody prospering, and then
I think we should get our government the fuck out of other countries. To be honest, but
I would agree with that 100%.
100%. And then I think what would happen is there would be less immigrants because those countries would be allowed to do better.
No disagreement there.
So I think there's ways
like Venezuela, though, with Maduro, he's been just an evil, and Chavez, they're just evil men who Chavez used the Dominion voting machine to stay in power for 20 years. The 3 guys that made the Dominion machine for Venezuela also is a part of making the Dominion hardware system that is 27 of our states right now.
You realize that you realize that every news station that's reported that has now recanted because they're being sued for misinformation.
Yeah, I hope those lawsuits go forward. That way we got judgment, and then what's that word we're looking for? Where they actually have to provide all the evidence. So I hope they actually do sue. I don't think they're gonna sue. They're just saying it because then they actually got to give all the voting, all the numbers and whatnot. So on all the news, are we already? I thought we were past that. We know there's no.
Well, no, I mean like all the outlets that do report it, right? Like the non-mainstream, like Newsmax and OANN, they've all like said we retract our previous statements because we don't want to get sued.
Yeah, they're getting
because they knew they were bullshitting.
Have you watched the Mike Lindell 2 hours long, that Absolute Proof?
I don't trust a damn thing out of Mike Lindell's mouth. Okay. Really? Yeah, I'm sorry.
All I saw was Absolute Proof. He had a bunch of people in there. He showed IP addresses come from China going to Georgia. He's got so much. I highly recommend you watch 2 hours of that.
I think I might blow my brains out if I watch 2 hours of Mike Lindell.
That's too bad because there was a shit ton of truth.
Well, I mean, he can say anything though.
He proved it. He proved it. He had scientists that went. Yes, he proved it. Yes. He had all kinds of engineers.
I can pull up papers. I can hold papers and be like, look, I have the proof that, the capitalist establishment, like there's people in Chinese government that have come out and proved that America is the worst country to have ever existed. And, Americans are dogs, and they've proved it. And they show videos, and everyone in China says the same fucking things.
Watch that video, and then you tell me what you can debunk.
All right. I mean, shoot it to me, along with the other proof and evidence that I would love to get for all these other claims.
Our skies, with Bill Gates poisoning our skies, our water, and our food.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, let's get back on topic of immigration. I know that this subject is multifaceted, but we have to stay on topic here. Thanks for telling me that I was muted, by the way. All right, so any other? So I guess Goose gave us 3 points.
Right.
Do you have any points that you would like to make for your case on why illegal immigration is good?
Well, I mean, I would prefer those immigrants to be documented. What I want.
Legal, you mean?
Yeah, I want them to have access to a process where they can become legal. So if they're here,
on that. Joe Biden's working on that. He's working on citizenship. What's the word I'm looking for? Making them all citizen. He says 11 million, but it's going to be more like 25 million, which is going to seal up.
Are you talking about amnesty? Are you talking about amnesty?
Amnesty, yeah.
As far as from my perspective, I mean, I'd be fine with like charging a fine for getting through the process because they came across illegally, charge a few $100s or whatever, for your misdemeanor charge. Go through that, and you can, you give them a small misdemeanor charge for crossing the border illegally, and then you allow them, once they do that, to then get residency, and then eventually over like a 10-20 year period get citizenship. I think creating a legal system to do that would get a lot of these people out of the illegal work situation, so that they would then be not undercutting our wages. They would be competing on our level. I feel like if we made our legal system better, there'd be less illegal immigration. I mean, I want to reduce illegal immigration. I just want to do it in ways that don't dehumanize people. I want to do it in ways that don't increase the amount of people in prison camps. I want to do it in ways that
there's no prison camps.
Yeah, they are. I'm sorry, but they are. They're camps.
What do you want?
Where people are in prison?
You want to put in 5-star hotels while we?
No, I want to create a process in which we have less people to deal with in such terrible ways. I want
we don't let them come over until we go through all that process. That would eliminate.
How about we make that process feasible? How about we make that streamline the process? Make it so that, how about we put the money that we would put in the wall into hiring a fuckload of Americans to do legal immigration effectively? I mean, there's so much we could do that would do so much more.
Dude, we are bringing in 1 million legal immigrants a year. We're already doing that.
Right, and we should have more legal immigrants. There's a whole bunch of, yeah. Why not? Immigrants bring more legal immigrants,
because it costs this country a lot of fucking money. That's why.
No, they don't.
It costs us a lot of money.
Show me the statistics to prove that immigrants, especially including legal immigrants, cost us more money. Did they bring
Oh
it?
my God.
I mean, please show me the evidence, because every single piece, I mean, immigration and having a lot of immigration is what made this country strong.
Legal immigration. I agree.
Immigration, period.
You can't have a welfare state, which we have, and illegal and open borders. Everybody in the world is going to come over and kill our economy, kill our country. It's impossible. It will kill us. It will destroy this country.
No,
It's
I
simple.
never said, okay. I feel like I said at the beginning of this conversation that open borders, which we haven't ever had since the 60s, open borders right now would be a mistake. Did I not say that?
I thought you did.
Yeah. I'm just
Now you're
saying,
justifying it.
I'm not justifying open borders. I'm saying the wall is dumb. I'm saying that our current
But wherever the
system,
wall was, it knocked down. Wherever the wall was, it knocked down illegal border crossing 97%. How dumb is that?
and then they went to where the wall wasn't.
There you go. If there's
Right.
more
Okay.
wall, then they can't come over.
And then they went through
Come on,
tunnels.
man. Oh,
I mean,
goddamn.
you think you think you've got an own, but like you're really missing like
I
the whole
do.
point. You're
No,
missing the whole point. Most illegal immigrants come through planes, bro. They come through tunnels. They come through the northern border. Every terrorist, because like that's another common trope,
because there's
right?
no wall.
We have to protect us from terrorists coming from our southern border. Every
A lot of them are
pretty
coming
much
across the northern.
pretty much every terrorist has come from Canada. So, are we talking about building a wall with Canada? No.
Just like the 21 Iranians they just busted down at the border a couple weeks ago. Down south.
Oh my God! Here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Every time, it's like you're just pulling out random like one case scenarios and ignoring like the overall statistics and like where the percentages are coming from. Yes, there's going to be nefarious people that come through both borders. Sure. But the fact is, a majority of the people that have tried to commit terror or successfully committed terror in the United States came through the north. But we don't talk about the northern border because those people tend to be white.
I disagree with the white part, but yeah, I agree with the terrorists coming from the northern border because it's a lot easier because there's no wall. There's a lot more wood.
Right, but why aren't we talking about building a wall there?
We should be.
Okay, I mean, if you want to do that, like, I mean, have you had that discussion?
Right.
Have you told like the people on your side to do that?
I've expressed my opinion, I guess, but right now we don't have 4,000 people coming across our northern border every single day. We're filling up a football stadium full of illegal people every week. A football stadium.
So where are you?
Week.
How do you know that that's the amount of people that are coming every day?
God, I've just all my research. It's common knowledge, dude. That
common knowledge. Well, I mean, I'm looking at research. I mean,
3,500. Joe Biden. 3,500.
So when I use research that says illegal immigration crossings at the border decreased before Trump became president consistently for multiple years under Obama. Obama
started it. Obama
no,
started it.
Yeah, Obama decreased the amount of illegal crossings over the southern border. Under Obama, illegal crossings decreased.
Perhaps because they started flooding our country, right? Actually, with the Clintons is when they started really starting to flood our country. Was with the Clintons.
Flood our country, but they decreased.
No, they started flooding it. So Obama actually decreased the flooding. Do you understand that?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I'm following you. So
there was still a lot coming over though.
Under because Reagan had a pretty open border policy himself, right? So like Ronald Reagan, like if you watch like the debates back between like George H.W. Bush and Ronald Reagan when they were in the primary fighting against each other, they were both talking about like, no, we don't need any walls on our border. That's ridiculous. This is America. That's anti-American. And I mean, that's what they were arguing back in the 80s. Like, we need to embrace immigrants, not reject immigrants. So Reagan and then to Clinton caused a massive flood of immigration. And then, that continued under Bush. Obama got into play, started reducing the amount of immigration.
But still,
and then Trump got into play and continued that process. Is that what you're saying? So Obama was actually good on immigration?
Oh, I'm saying he had to stop the flood, man. I mean, they were coming over thousands. At one point, we were having 10,000 a day coming across. 10,000 a day. 10,000 a day. Just think of that. Now, see how and what really got me involved with this is when I was traveling across the country, I would stop at, I ate breakfast out a lot because I was on the road. I was trucking, and I would go to Denny's or Perkins almost on a daily basis. And I would look at the people and see my surroundings. I always just looked at my surroundings, and it got to a point. This is 3, 4, and 5 years ago that I was like the only. I don't want to sound racist here, but I was like the only white guy. There might be one or two black guys, and the rest were Hispanic. And again, I'm not hating on this, but I'm just stating the facts. This is up in Chicago, up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, up in over in mid-central Washington. I mean, I realized, holy shit, man, there is a lot of Hispanics in this country. And I started wondering.
Well, I mean, it was their country first.
Huh?
It was their country first.
We can go down that road someday. I don't care. I hate that because I live in the present. What's going on now.
Right.
I mean, you could give the country back to the Indians if you want to go down that road, or the
I mean,
a
lot of the Indians are Mexicans or are Hispanic.
Yeah, whatever.
Like,
all I'm saying is right now we have, for the last 300 years or so, we have America. We have borders. It's the United States of America. Mexico has Mexico. Canada has Canada. Venezuela has Venezuela. We have borders. We're a country. To be a country, you got to have borders. To be a sovereign.
But do you see what I'm saying, though? I don't think you see what I'm saying.
Well, I just don't like going down that whole.
Well, what I'm saying is, when we created those borders, there was a lot of Hispanics in America that spoke Spanish and had Hispanic culture that stayed and were citizens. So when you see Hispanics around, that doesn't mean anything in regards to immigration because
I wasn't saying that.
They just continued their culture.
I agree.
Stayed in America.
I wasn't saying that. And quite frankly, I like the Hispanic race for the majority. The majority of them are hard workers. They're family people.
Straight.
They're religious.
Agreed.
I like your normal average Hispanic person.
I'm not really too keen on religion myself, but everything else you said is accurate.
They have faith, but I also know that there's a large amount of them that's bringing up a shit ton of meth, coke, fentanyl, human trafficking. Because I know the cartel runs Mexico, and I also know that the cartel has given our politicians and our government a lot of money to allow the drug and human trafficking. So again, I'm not hating on any of the people that are wanting a better life coming to America. I'm hating our system. I'm hating the reason why we're allowing it to happen. And right now, the only people getting rich from these open borders are cartels and politicians. And then it's just skyrocketing.
Well, and banking systems and all sorts of other.
Well, the bankers. So I mean, we're just incentivizing it right now. under Trump, it wasn't incentivized to get to America to get stuff, and now we're back to. You see the videos on the news of the Central American people say Biden's going to take care of us. We got to get to America because Biden says he's going to take care of us. I mean, right out of their mouth, that's what they're saying. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen it. Many people when they're interviewing the caravans, that's what they're saying. They got a new president in America. He's going to take care of us. I mean, that's what they think. So why wouldn't you come to America? So I'm not pissed off at the actual people that are trying for a better life. I'm pissed off at the people incentivizing it. And right now, that's the Biden administration. He's like I said.
So I mean, we can have
government officials. There's more government officials right now shutting down middle class businesses across our cities than there is ICE agents trying to keep our community safe.
So for these people that are coming to seek asylum, right? Which is what they're doing. Do you think we should create a faster and better system for people to apply for asylum before they even get to the border? Like set up, some offices in Mexico so that as they're coming through Mexico, they can start the process and file for asylum?
Yeah, I think everything should be done over there. Right now, we're just letting them in, saying, "Hey, show up to court here in 6 months." And
so why isn't that what you're advocating for?
Show up to court.
So let's advocate for that. I mean, that sounds good to me. I'm down for that policy. I mean, there's a lot of policy agreement here. I just think that we need to do things that are going to increase the ability for them to come legally, decrease as much harm to humanity as we can, increase, our own treatment of people in America, our citizens, reduce, illnesses, reduce the amount of overcrowding in schools. I mean, I think we should do all of that stuff. I'm not on board with the concept of militarizing the border more than it was already done under Obama. I think, Obama was the deporter in chief before Trump. That's what those on the left called him because he increased deportations exponentially. He was, most of the people that I talk to don't like Obama for that.
What about 70,000 Somalian immigrants he placed up in St. Paul, Minnesota, or the 37?
Those are refugees. That's a whole different issue. That's refugees.
Okay.
They go through a whole legal process. They're legal. They got vetted. They did background checks, the whole thing. They spent years in refugee camps in other countries and then applied to refugee here.
Have you seen what's going on in Omar's district lately? It's like the highest.
I mean, I don't know what
false.
I don't know what weird news you get, so probably not.
Oh God.
I mean,
St. Paul, Minnesota is right now labeled the highest terrorist concentration of the most looked at and wanted on the FBI list as highest terrorist concentration. There's more possible terrorists in St. Paul, Minnesota right now than
possible terrorists. What does that mean? Dude. What does that mean? What is that language? What are these words?
The people that are on a watch list. The people that are.
So there's so watch people on a watch list. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can look that up. I mean, but again, this is a conversation about refugees, not illegal immigration.
You don't watch like USA Today or CNN or New York Times or Washington Post, do you? You don't use any of them, do you?
Not mostly, but
Reuters,
I mean,
USA Today, New York Times, Chicago, Washington Post, CNN, SMC, ABC, CBS, all those are.
Holy crap! I mean, you're listing off every news agency that ever exists and says every single piece of information from every news agency is false. Every single
forever.
Oh my goodness.
Here's a little fun fact. New York Times actually kept what Hitler was doing back when it was at 41 or 42 or 43 or something. New York Times actually kept what Hitler was doing with the Jews and all that for 2 years. That New York Times kept it away from the American people.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah, because they didn't want to go to war. Yeah. No, I did know that. Yeah, and that was because the government told them not to release the information because they didn't want to go to war. Because the World War I was a tragedy.
If you look at who all controls these media stations, then you
and who were those people though?
Comcast, AT&T, Ted Turner.
Is it the Jews?
Huge one. Huh?
Is it the Jews?
I think some Jews are part of that. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like put it on an actual nationality, but it's the global elites, man.
I mean, it's like everybody you list, like Soros Jew, Bilderberg Jew, Bloomberg Jew.
Bilderberg's a group.
See, but it's they have their last name. The Bilderberg group comes.
The Bilderberg group is Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Paysuers, DuPonts, Merrill Lynch's, Goldman Sachs. There's 13 of them. Bush
right, but it was named after a Jew.
Okay, I have a good question. I have a good question that I'm surprised you guys haven't touched on yet. But
okay,
what do you guys think about DACA?
I support DACA.
I haven't followed it that much to understand.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you like it? Do you not like it, and why? So, I get Prohfit. You support it. How come?
I think that when people are here, like especially kids that didn't have the choice, their parents chose to come over, and they brought them at 2 or 3, and these kids are going to school. They're working hard. They have good grades. They're looking to go to college. They haven't committed any crimes. I mean, I feel like DACA is probably one of the most rigorous vetting systems that we've had. And I feel like, I mean, they're the best of the best as far as of people that have come across illegally. I feel like, yeah, they should be a part of America. They are a part of America. And I mean, I welcome them as citizens.
I heard a fun stat that 67% of the DACA kids have already committed crimes. I don't know, a large percentage of the DACA kids already have a criminal record.
I mean, they wouldn't qualify for DACA if they did, but okay.
So I don't know.
That's the whole point
I guess I don't know the whole situation of how they got here. It seems like to me, as long as you can get over here on American soil, whether you jump the fence illegally, then you can just be an American. And to me, that's not right. It's not
well,
right. You should go through the legal, appropriate systems to be an American.
So DACA, if I'm right, was in the 80s and 90s, right? The parents came over, had babies, and then those babies became legal residents, correct?
Or they were brought over as very young children, like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think that's more of what happened is they were brought over somehow.
Because you're automatically a citizen if you're born here.
Right.
So DACA was for young kids who were brought here under no, choice of their own, right? And they've lived here their entire lives. And now they're going to school and, being, good Americans. Most of them speak English, or as their first language,
Yeah. So Goose, do you think those people that are protected under DACA, I hope I'm saying that right, the people that are protected under DACA because they were either, brought over here when they were very young, do you think they should be deported back to where they have natural citizenship, I guess?
I guess my like again, I still don't know the exact situation of how that went down, but I think it should be on merit. I think if you're gang banging or you're breaking the law and you've been in jail, like say 2 or 3 times, like a 3 strike rule type thing, you're getting deported. If you're not being a helpful citizen and working and supporting yourself without needing any kind of assistance through the government, and as long as you're not leeching or being off welfare your whole time, or you're not committing crimes, more power. I'm for anybody that wants to come over here, work hard, do not live off the government, do not commit crimes. I don't care if you're legal or not legal. More power to you. If you're doing those 2 things, if you love our country, respect our country, you're working, supporting yourself, and not living off the government, have at it. That's kind of my. But there's just so many that are not coming over here and doing that. They're coming over here. They're getting free schooling. They're getting free housing. They're getting free health care. They're getting $3,000 checks a month. And they're not and on top of that,
Your facial expressions are just funny. I'm not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing, but
no, I know, but oh my god,
look it up.
$3,000 a month,
3,200.
Where?
Yeah. God, I didn't save that one. I gotta save everything. I'm getting better at saving all my information. Before I didn't save anything. Up until about 6 months ago, all the stuff I got is stuff that I've read and watched and researched. But I didn't save any because I don't know how to share links, or my tech savvy is nil. But I'm starting to save more stuff. I've got a little bit of an arsenal for you, but I don't want to give it to you just yet until
talk
after
to me. I'll help you figure out, that tech stuff. So after this, let's talk, and I can help you, so you can, I want to know where this information's coming from so I can, look at the background, make sure it's legit. And if it's legit that illegal immigrants are somehow getting $3,200 a month, that sounds like
I'm not saying every one of them.
Well, I mean, if there's a considerable amount of, if there's a program, I mean, that sounds like something I'd want to expand for citizens.
I guarantee you that's happening. I guarantee you, I've read enough on that stuff the last 4 years that illegal immigrants are getting a check every month.
You don't know the name of that program?
I'll have to look back into it. Something I just came across years ago. But
yeah,
I'm like 90% sure that I'm right about that. But yeah, so bottom line, they're breaking us. This country can't have a welfare state and open borders. We can't have it.
So I have a question. If we were to take our 2 philosophies, right, which is you want to deport people that are, illegal immigrants that have committed crimes. You want them deported immediately. And you don't want them to have access to government, funding until they've, contributed X amount, or, whatever your standard would be. Right.
Well, they got to have some. They got to have some at the beginning because they have nothing. So
right.
They
need so I mean, and we could talk about the minutia of that, but you don't want them on government assistance unless they're contributing, and you want any illegal who's committed a crime to be deported. If I was to say yes, we should absolutely do that alongside increasing legal ways of coming to America and contributing, like through work visas and through legal means, and for people who have been here and their only crime has been coming illegally and otherwise they've been contributing to become legal residents. If we did both of those things at the same time, would you be okay with that?
That would be cool.
Because I'd
That
be
would be
okay
cool.
with
You know,
that.
something else that we haven't. Yeah, I'm cool that the biggest thing with me is if they can support themselves. The problem is we're bringing over so many people that I read this that like most of these people, if you see the pictures and the videos of the caravan, they're mostly boys or young men. I mean, they're like 86% are 20 to 26-year-old young men who all almost have no more than an eighth grade education. So they're only going to grab the lowest income jobs. So that's hurting all the other people in America, white, black, brown, whatever, that are in the same boat. And also that's just keeping the work wage down. A labor job in Texas is less money to be made in Texas than it is in Montana because there's just so many people. But see, what we haven't touched upon that is probably as important as anything is right now we have lobbyists lobbying the Biden administration to push for open borders because they can take these illegals and work them for cheaper wage. So there's actually lobbyists and big corporations, probably big capitalist corporations that are pushing Joe Biden to have open borders so they can work these illegals for cheap. So that's
Yeah.
a lot. That's another big problem too.
Well, that's
American
why
businesses are actually pushing for this.
well, and that's why they also push against legalizing these individuals because they want these people forced to accept lower wages. So they want two things, right?
So they'll
A
hire
lot of
people.
a lot of corporations invest in it on both sides, right? So they'll support keeping illegal immigration flowing as much as possible, and then on the other end, they don't want those people to be documented or legalized because then they have to pay the minimum wage. So they're playing both sides of the coin in order to keep this like underclass of people in America that they can exploit. It's very
Yep.
similar to how you have like private prisons that use like cheap and free labor. I mean, it's same shit. I would argue that the private prison system undercuts our wages at least to the same degree, if not more, than illegal immigration. Because
Agree.
I mean that's like 2.5 million free workers. Those are like, they used to pay, good money to go have people out cleaning the roads. And then they started, they mass incarcerated people and gave them, work and sent them out to clean roads for free, taking good paying jobs from Americans. I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm anti lobbying. I'm anti money in politics. And I think, we just, set like an agreement where like, if we want to make sure that we're um, getting rid of, criminals who aren't citizens and, you know, people who and not allowing people
See,
to be on government assistance without contributing, and then at the same time provide for people who aren't being criminals other than crossing the border, and for people who are trying to get in this country, provide more options for them. I'm on board. Let's write it. Let's put it together. Then you and me, as a leftist and a right winger, can promote that as a idea for unity, a good reform policy. I mean, I'm down. I'm an activist. I'm game. If you're game, I'm game. So, and I
I'm
mean, we
game.
could talk about that later.
Yeah. Let's talk
But
about that later. But yeah, I like that idea. I think it's already somewhat in the plans on both sides. I I just think there's higher evils out there motivating this and incentivizing it to crash our system. And that could, and that's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. That's a global elite thing.
Yeah.
Again, I can't help that. I'll have to send you some of these Bill Gates, what he's up to and what he's been doing the last 20 years. I mean, he wasn't the nerdy kid that just invented the microchip in his garage. That was a lie.
Yeah. Well, no, he
And I
stole a lot of that anyway.
Yeah, he stole a lot of it, and then he
Yeah.
realized how much money he could make in the medical field and the vaccine
Well,
field.
and a lot of these people, they're held up as like, capitalist like success stories, like, oh, Steve Jobs just worked in his parents' garage, and it's like, yeah, but he also had a trust fund. Like, these aren't
Yeah.
like kids that were poor that became
Right.
multimillionaires. These are like wealthy kids that just became more wealthy.
Right.
But they use that narrative to say like kid from the ghetto who's like mom who is in a single parent household, you could be Bill Gates, and it's like no.
No.
So I mean, I don't think it's as nefarious as you do, as far as like, I think each person or each interest group is just out there for themselves. They're trying to, they don't want to pay any taxes, so they create loopholes. They get away with it, and then the middle class and the working poor get hit with all the taxes. They get away with it scot free.
Yep.
And it's just a self-interest thing. I don't necessarily think like there's a big like conspiracy of like a group of individuals that rule the government. I just think it's a bunch of corrupt assholes that corrupt the people that they're around, that just, and I mean, some of these people fight, like, there's the Koch brothers that have, millions upon millions of dollars, and they have certain interests, like they had coal investments and so on. And then you have rich ass liberals that have investments in, green energy, and then they're throwing money at each other, throwing money at politicians in order to fight each other. And I mean, and pick any issue, and you have all these different interest groups fighting each other. I don't think it's nearly organized. I just think it's, plain corruption and infighting.
It's pretty organized.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think
when they go
I
meet
don't
the
think
Bilderberger group, the Bilderberger,
like they can't even run the fucking DMV correctly. Like, you think that they can like have like a huge organized like, changing the weather and space lasers and I mean,
hey, Jared,
you think,
Yeah.
Sorry, I want the next subject that we debate on to be on Bill Gates.
Okay.
And I got a lot of stuff.
I'll have to do a whole bunch of research into somebody I don't fucking like anyway.
And I'm not sending those videos to you until we have the debate.
I have a question.
I don't want to give you any dirt.
Going along with immigration. So what do you guys think about? We talked about DACA, and Prohfit here corrected me. As far as the ones that are born here, because they're automatically legal citizens once they're born here. What do you guys think about the argument that people make of pregnant women or women getting pregnant here that are illegal and having a baby? I think the term is anchor baby.
Anchor baby.
Yeah. So what do you guys
actually an anchor baby is like Kamala Harris, where she's had a mom and a dad from Kamala Harris is an anchor baby because her mom was of Indian descent, her dad was of Jamaican descent, and they actually had the baby here, but they weren't legal citizens. but they had her here in America, but they weren't legal citizens. That makes her an anchor baby. That's true story right there.
So
Now, what's
So
going
am I
on
an
is
anchor baby?
so how is it? What is the definition of quote unquote anchor baby that once you have a baby here because you're the parent, you also cannot leave or get deported?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't
yeah,
know the
that's the
exact rules.
argument.
I actually know
That's
there's
the
something way
argument.
deep in the.
Okay.
I know there's something way deep in the Constitution that hasn't been used. That just because you get born here, if two Russian people came over for a weekend and the mom was pregnant and she happened to have a kid here, everybody thinks that that's a U.S. citizen, and that's how we've played by that rule for a long time. There's actually something deep in the Constitution that says that you're not an actual legal citizen, but we've never pressed that issue. But
Do you know where in the Constitution? Because I mean, I've read the
I know
Constitution.
it's way deep in it. Is all I know. Is all I remember.
It's not that
Reading.
long. Like you can read the Constitution in like an evening.
Yeah, I guess I've never really read the Constitution.
Okay.
But it's never been followed. So I mean, to all of our knowledges, if you get born here, you're a citizen. And that's kind of
Yeah, I mean that is said in the Constitution. I don't remember seeing any caveats to that.
Yeah, I think there's every situation is different. Were you just visiting here on vacation? Were you just here for 2 weeks and you happen to have a baby, or were you actually living here? You just weren't legal yet. There's a lot of different situations with that.
Right.
Because there was a buttload, but a Chinese. There was a setup that they got busted not long ago, where this lady was bringing over. She's getting paid big money for Chinese people to come over, pregnant girls, and have a kid and then make that kid a legal. And they got caught. It was a big ring. I don't know if you heard about that or not, but it was an American lady that was actually getting paid by Chinese people to get the ladies over here that were pregnant, and then they have the kid, and that would make them a legal citizen. And they got busted for it. But she
I mean, I've heard of similar things. I don't know about that one in particular, but I've heard of like, I've heard of things from like Eastern Europe as well, doing stuff like that. So, I mean,
Kamala
I don't know
Harris
about
is
that
actually an anchor
particular
baby.
one, but yeah, that does happen.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is an anchor baby though, because her mom, neither one of them were U.S. citizens. They came over and had her, and that makes her an anchor baby. And I believe in the
Were they legal
Constitution-
residents?
I don't believe so. I think they were just here for a little while, and they.
All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah, look that up, because I'm sure she's an anchor baby, and actually, I believe that by her being an anchor baby, she's really not constitutionally allowed to be president of the United States.
Well, the only restriction where that's regarded is it being born in the U.S. So an anchor baby is legally allowed to be president.
Yeah, I've heard different, but I can't honestly spout off about that. I'll let you know when I'm for sure about stuff and when I'm not.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. And I mean, the main thing, like, I really want to know, like, the information and like where and how legitimate, and if not, because if there's like legitimate information, I will change my mind. I'm not like a dickhead.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I mean, so much of this was years ago when I wasn't saving all my information, and again, so much of this stuff that I read or watch, they show proof. I mean, I watch everything with a grain of salt. I watch everything thinking it's fake until they actually prove me, can give me some proof. And a lot of stuff that I mean, I've saved some now, but a lot of stuff that I've watched that really blew my mind about certain things, it gets deleted. You go back and look it up on YouTube and it's gone. No longer can see the video. They just delete so much stuff that it's hard to present your facts when they're deleting so much. A lot of stuff, some deep hard truth that I believe is real, but the the powers that be don't want this stuff out, man. It's labeled as conspiracy theories. I got a little fun fact for you, Chris. Do you know who coined the phrase conspiracy theorist?
No, I do not.
It was the CIA right after Kennedy got assassinated. People were getting too close to the truth, and they coined the phrase, he's a conspiracy theorist, and he's crazy, and he's wacko. Yeah, the CIA is the one who coined that phrase. Yeah.
So, everything I'm seeing, and I'm just looking at headlines. I'm not, reading the articles in depth. Here we go. Here might be something, but mostly they're just commenting how, yes, despite having immigrants' parents, Kamala Harris is legitimate in that sense. So, and I mean, and it's from like at least 30 different articles I've seen talking about that.
What I've heard is she's a legitimate citizen, but to be the president of the United States, it disqualifies her.
Yeah, the most of the articles are about that comment. They're not talking about her parents. So I'm trying to find out if her parents were residents. But every article I've seen has said like she is legally allowed to be president from a legal standpoint. So I mean, again,
and we get back to the actual media, and of course they're going to say that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I can say anything, and then when when anything in the media says, "Oh no, that's wrong," I could be like, "Oh well, that's the media." I mean, that's literally the same argument that you get from flat earthers.
Right. I hear you. It's a difficult situation. Like I said, though, a lot of our information gets deleted within an hour. So
right. Well, and I mean,
why does it get deleted?
But flat earthers say the same thing, and a lot of it's because it's fake news.
So let it be. It's freedom of speech.
Right,
I mean, look at CNN and MSNBC.
So what I haven't heard from you guys is, do you guys think that these babies that are considered anchor babies, do you guys think that they should remain citizens, or do you guys think that they should be deported back to wherever their parents are from?
Well, I read something a while back that, like, I don't know the exact percentage. It was a majority, like 67%, all have they've committed crimes. They're not bettering themselves here. I didn't dig into what kind of crimes. Some of them might have just been stupid. It sounded like the majority of them aren't being a good U.S. citizen. So, or a good citizen in any country for that matter.
So you're saying that it would, like, you wouldn't be able to deport them back until they became criminals. So for the time being, because they're not breaking any laws, that you would let, quote unquote, an anchor baby stay in the country. That's what you. It's an individual thing.
As long as they're living the American dream and trying to better themselves, and they're working hard and they're following the laws, let them have it. Let them.
Even if they already have citizenship.
Well, if they already have citizenship, then they're citizens. So.
But that's what an anchor baby is.
If there are citizens,
because they were born here,
true legitimate citizens, though, because they were younger. They weren't born here. They were.
No, that's not what an anchor baby is. That's what DACA kids are. So what you're describing is DACA.
Yeah. My bad.
Anchor babies
the DACA kids
are born here.
That are born here from immigrant mothers or fathers or what have you. That are not
the DACA kids were kids that weren't born here.
Yeah.
They got over.
Yeah,
here
that's correct.
2, 3, 4
That's what Prohfit corrected earlier. What I'm asking is, if they were born here, by illegal parents, illegal immigrants, or undocumented immigrants, should, as they're born here, should they be sent back
Well, I think
with
right now they're
the
considered
parent?
citizens, aren't they?
Yeah, they're
Aren't they
considered citizens.
Right, but I'm asking you, do you think that's right? Do you think that's fair? Because it does fall under the line of immigration.
That's a tough call, because if the parents aren't legal citizens, you know, and we're making the parents go back to wherever they're from, then we're separating.
So that's the whole
families.
argument as to anchor babies, right? So essentially, when a pregnant, like the reason why some people on the right, and I'm not saying this is you because you haven't said that, but some people on the right think that because when an illegal mother comes and has a baby in America, that baby becomes a citizen, and then that mother is allowed to stay with that baby because that baby is a citizen, and then she's now the mother of a US citizen. So she's allowed to stay legally now without either being a citizen or coming in a legal sense, because her child is now a citizen. Is that okay or is that wrong?
I think it's wrong. I think they're playing the system. I think that's why they're getting their kids up here. They're paying coyotes and to get their kids over here. I think it's wrong.
No. But these kids aren't born yet, so there is no coyotes. It's they were born here already. They've already made it across the border. The parents,
right. It's a tough call, because I don't believe the whole family should be able to come and be American citizens just because the baby was born here in America.
Do you think the mother and father should be?
I don't think so. Not legally. I mean, I think there should be a like you said, a system to where we can stream them through to be a legal citizen, and I'm sure there's already in place for that. But right now, the whole damn family can come over, and we're allowing that to happen, and that's not right. It's just not right.
Right, but so those are at that moment, those are part of the legal immigrants. So like, when the family comes over, and I think that's often exaggerated. Sometimes it's extended to like grandparents, but most of the time it's just mother, father, and siblings. So when they come over right now in the current system, have a child, and then they're able to, stay, and they become residents. They don't become citizens; they become residents. That's legal immigration. So when you talk about like the million some odd, net migrants that come here legally, that's a portion of those people.
That makes sense.
What do you think, Prohfit? Do you think as the current system sits, the parents here pregnant, have a baby's legal citizen, do you think they should be having the right to stay and be automatically given citizenship?
I don't think they should be automatically given citizenship. I think residency is fine so long as they're following the laws, and they have job opportunities, or I mean, I think that citizenship eventually, maybe like in 10 years, or however long it takes them to continue, so long as they're not like killing people and stealing shit.
I think they need to be residents. I mean, if they're just coming over here in 5 days having a baby, I don't think that baby should be a citizen. I think if those illegals were,
well, what's resident though? Because like in my state, exactly. It's 6 months. You know what I mean? So I mean, and I don't think that's a very good time either, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
I guess I don't know exactly, but bottom line, I think they should at least be here for, not just here on vacation or,
So
hey
so
man, I just jumped across the border and now I'm having a baby and now my baby's a citizen.
so do you
I
think
don't
that
believe
they
that's
need
right.
to do you think they need to be impregnated in the United States? Would that be
No,
no? Okay. So
I
then
guess
like I mean
if we're putting a time limit on it, 4 or 5 months, maybe. I don't know, but not just like, you know, lady's about ready
just
to have a
popping
baby, have
by
her
for a visit.
step across the border, and boom, you have that baby. You're a citizen. You're a
Yeah, I mean
citizen.
I don't know if I agree necessarily, but I think that's a reasonable take. I mean, that's not like a crazy crackpot opinion. I think that that's
'Cause, I mean, that's
understandable.
what
I
they're
see where
doing.
you're coming from.
That's what so many are doing. I mean, they're abusing the system. They're trying to get get over here and have a baby, and boom, and now they can abuse the systems. And now they can get on welfare and get on subsidies and shit. Like the Muslim population, over half of them are living off welfare, and they're not getting off it anytime soon either.
Yeah, but
They're
there
just
none
using
of that.
just
That's
using the
not the
system.
situation. Like with most Muslim immigrants, like most like regular immigrants that come from Muslim communities, they tend to be the more well off people because they have to be able to like afford a flight and afford to like be able to like uproot their entire lives. And so most immigration from like third world countries, quote unquote, is like the best of those countries. So like you get
Well,
like
a lot of them have
a
to
lot of
prove that they're running a legitimate business. I've talked to a few of them over on the road, and I was like, how'd you get here, and what's your story? And they're like, well, my dad had to pay $500,000, and then we had to prove that we ran a business that profited for 3 years, and then if we did that, then we were allowed to bring over my uncle and aunt, and but they had to pay like 500,000, and they had to go through a lot of tests and get the
yeah.
tax a little
So I
higher.
mean,
But them are the people that respect country. I mean, they've worked to get
I mean,
here.
so I would say like restrictions like that is why there's illegal immigrants. Because I mean, if you're talking about $500,000 for people
That's what he
that
said.
are,
Yeah, my dad
yeah,
had to pay
okay, so
500,000.
let's say that that's what it is, right? I mean, even shit, even if it's down to like $100,000, you're talking about like people that are escaping like certain countries that
Oh yeah,
have, you
Profit,
know,
profit.
yeah. I highly
Our
disagree with
country's
that.
expensive. Profit. Our land
huh?
our land is expensive. You can't be selling it out for cheaper than
It's got
500,000.
No, I'm not talking about
it's got more than
land.
sand.
I'm just making a joke. I'm just making a joke. All right, my bad. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just, man, I don't know what's a joke and what isn't sometimes when it comes to this shit because some of the serious arguments seem funny to me. So I have to take everything seriously.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
so
gotta cut this. I gotta cut this short a little bit. I gotta
Okay.
my wife.
Yeah, okay, no
She's
problem. If you want to end your closing statement about immigration, and then Prophet can make his, and then yeah, we'll be good.
all right. Well, again, my name is Goose up in Montana. Traveled the country, been across it about 100 times, been to almost every city in and out, and talked to people and saw what's going around and chatted with people about current events, about illegal immigration and how it's hurting them or whatnot. Um, I just believe illegal immigration is terrible. Since we're incentivizing human trafficking, sexual trafficking, drug trafficking. We're overflowing our systems in our school systems, our hospitals. We're given free housing, and that's just going to make our taxes skyrocket. The third thing is I believe a lot of these people are going through Mexico, a real hot spot for coronavirus right now. These caravans don't have any masks. They're stuck in vans and buses and trucks on the way up here, so they're obviously not social distancing by no means, and we're not testing them or checking them out whatsoever. We're pretty much catching and releasing them. It's a recipe for disaster. It costs us 220 billion to afford it, and on top of that, there's been proof that they send the money that they make back to their families at about 250 billion. So we're about out $500 billion on top of all the other things I just mentioned. There's just nothing good about it. Legal immigration's great, but we gotta cut this illegal immigration down. They say 11 million, but they've been saying that since 2005. I think the real stats are more like 22 million that's in the United States right now. But other than that, I just think it's a recipe for disaster. We can't have a welfare state and open borders. It doesn't work. It will destroy our country in a matter of a couple of years. And that's it.
All right, Prohfit.
All right. So again, my name is Prohfit. I'm from Southern California, where we have a whole bunch of illegal immigrants, and some of them are my neighbors. So, and they're generally good, hardworking people, and they do a lot of good for the community. They get involved in, helping homeless people. There's people that are undocumented that work for charities, do all sorts of great works, and go to church and participate in our society. They just don't happen to have papers. So I myself am the son of an immigrant who came here and became a resident based on marriage, and then had me, and he now has been a legal resident because he's been living here and has me. So I almost could be considered an anchor baby. I think the nature of immigration is, we have a real issue with restricting legal immigration to the point where people who don't have money feel that their only option is coming here illegally. And I feel like if we expand that and we make it so it's easier to come here legally, then we reduce the amount of illegal immigrants and we increase the amount of people who are coming here that we get to do background checks and proper inspections, and we get to know the people who are coming in. I think that immigrants, both legal and illegal, contribute to the country far more than they take out of it. Everything that I've seen supports that information. Every data set, every Harvard study that I've read, every overall college study I've read, peer reviewed, makes that assertion. I haven't seen any convincing evidence to suggest otherwise. And as a result, I think we should be focused more on humane treatment of people than inhumane treatment of people. And we need to do whatever we can to pull these people out of the shadows so that they can participate in our economy on a legitimate level and not undercut our wages by being hired at $6 an hour or $4 an hour or $3 an hour. And that way they can get proper wages, and then we're all competing on the same level.
All right, very well. Thanks, Prohfit. Thanks, Goose. This is PPV, Premier Political View. If you liked it, come back next week where these guys will be talking about a different subject, going head to head. Also, Prohfit's going to let us know soon enough about an activism
podcast. Yes, sir.
Podcast. So we're looking
for it called Progress in Action.
Progress in Action podcast. So be looking out for that, and I'm sure Prohfit will tell us when that's up and ready to go. If you want to know anything about activism or get involved in your community, I'm sure you can get a hold of me, and I can get a hold of Prohfit, and he can lead you in the right direction. Goose, did you have a page or a YouTube or anything that you'd like to plug in, or?
Not really. I'm just on
Okay.
Facebook mainly, and they're all in jail. So
So go see Goose in jail. Pay him $50 so he can get out and start
you would
playing the
think
game.
that could be a moneymaker, man. If Facebook would have people pay to get people
Pay,
out of
right
Facebook
in
jail.
jail. Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. That'd be
Been in there
funny.
96
You should tell
times now.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, another.
I'd like to tell
All
them
right.
something. All right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We'll see y'all next
Thank
week.
you.